Hello and welcome to our wonderful International Youth Parliament meeting. It's not a meeting, it's a gathering. It's a wonderful time that we can learn and communicate. It's a training. So thank you for coming. I love that you are here. I am so honored that you are here. I am so blessed to be able to work with Robin and with Jackie there on the line. Robin works every day, all day long for you, to serve you, to help you. And as you know how much I love her and appreciate her and thank her for all that she does. She lives far away from me. She lives in a state, Wisconsin. And Jackie, our sweet friend who also serves you, and we love her, she's in Arizona. And I'm in the state of Utah. We're all in the United States. In 2 weeks, I'll be in Vietnam. And I'm going to be doing a big training over there with women, with our sweet International Youth Parliament ambassador over there, Phuong, Dang Kim Phuong. And I'm so honored to do that. Today we're talking about communication. And I wanted to start by saying that communication is one of the keys to all successful relationships. I have 2 quotes to begin with that I think you're going to like. This is by Dorothy Neville, and she said, "The real art of communication is not only to say the right thing at the right time, it's to leave unsaid the wrong thing at the tempting moment." I love that. That's so true. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's what you don't say. And then I love Max Dupree said, there may be, listen carefully, there may be no single thing more important to our efforts to achieve meaningful work and fulfilling relationships than to practice the art of good communication. So let's start with how do you communicate with yourself? That's the first part. How do you communicate with yourself? What are the thoughts that you think and the words that you say to yourself? It is so important that you understand the critical importance of talking to yourself in a way that you would talk to your best friend. So let's talk about negative thoughts. There was a study that was done that says we all have about 50,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thoughts, 50,000 thoughts. So the question isn't whether we're going to have negative thoughts. We're going to have negative thoughts. The question is, what do you do with the negative thoughts that you have? So I'd like you to watch this little demonstration. So think of this. Okay, there we go. Think of this flame as your negative thought. Okay, I can let that negative thought, I can think more and more about it, and I can let it hurt me and burn me and blister and really, really hurt. Or I can what? I can blow it out. You could let it go. When someone does something unkind to you, for example, and you think, oh my gosh, why did they say that to me? I'm not the way they think I am. I can't believe that person is so unkind. And you go on and on. Or you could just think, if she knew better, she would never have said that, or something to replace it. So when that negative thought comes, you just burn it out. You just let it go. You say, hey, replace it. That was unkind. Even if it's about yourself, that was negative. That was critical. And then you replace it with, hey, I'm getting better and better every day. That's positive. You say, I'm learning every day how to be kinder. Or you say, I'm becoming stronger in that area of my life. You replace it. And then if you think of something that you should have done, that you didn't do, something, a past regret that you have, maybe a decision you made that you think now, oh my gosh, why did I do that? You could worry again and think about it. Or you could say, hey, I made the best decision I could with what I knew at the time. I have more information now. I'll do better moving forward. So that is so critical, my friends. You want to be thinking positive thoughts about yourself. And when you don't, you do the same thing that you do when negative thoughts come in about someone else. You label them. That was unkind. It's critical. you what? You replace it with something better. Hey, I'm getting better and better. I'm getting stronger and stronger. Each day I'm getting more knowledge, or I'll understand that computer at some point, or and you just completely, you put positive energy into yourself with your own thoughts. This is a loving reminder to you because you all know this. But communication starts with you, my friends. It starts with the way you think about yourself. And you're all such magnificent people, but we all make mistakes. So when you do, you label, you replace, and you focus forward. You label, you replace, you focus forward. You don't have to take any notes because all of this I'm going to be sending you, everything, Robin will be sending you this, everything that I'm teaching you today. So let's talk some more about communication. It has 4 parts. The first part is that you need to understand the other person before you try to be understood. The second part is to use positive words. And just like we've been talking about, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that. The third part is to listen. Oh my goodness. In order to understand the other person, you need to really listen. And this is such a big part of communication. And the third part then is to communicate openly, honestly, and frequently. So we're going to go through these 4 parts. What was the first part? Trying to understand before you're being understood. And the second is to use positive words. And the third is to listen. And then the fourth is to communicate honestly, openly, and frequently. So as you move forward in your lives, communication is so important now, but think of how important it will be when you are, for example, trying to explain to a prime minister, a senator, a leader of any kind in your nation about the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goal, that we're going to be working on in the future. If you don't know how to communicate well, are you going to be effective? No. And so understanding and working on and getting better and better, improving your communication skills is one of the most important things we want you to understand and for you to be able to do. And that's why we are starting with it. We started with leadership. Now we're talking about communication. So critically important. Okay, let's talk about understanding first before you try to be understood. Now, let's take, for example, the example that I just gave. What if you were going into a leader and that leader had a horrific, hard day? Maybe he had just been in some conflict resolution meetings or some negotiation meetings that went badly. And he had you as the next opponent. And you walk in the room and you don't notice his body language. We talked about that last time, remember? If you don't notice how he's looking and how he's feeling, you're just going to bust in with your, oh, let me tell you about what we think about this. You need to understand that person before you ever expect to be understood. And this goes for your family relationships too. Maybe your parents are having a hard day and you come in and you ask them for something, but you do it in a way that doesn't even take into account how they're feeling. So good communication is all about understanding and about being understood by the person with whom you're communicating. In our families especially, we need to be able to talk to one another easily. We should know that, we can share our feelings in confidence and know we won't be laughed at and feel understood. Within the International Youth Parliament, my friends, listen carefully. Every single time another person speaks, give them your whole heart. Listen carefully. Okay, there's a little noise. Please go ahead and just hit mute. So Sandra and Margaret, hit mute, darling ones. Thank you. And Margaret, go ahead and hit mute. All right, so when we're talking to each other and when you have the turn to talk, and next time we talk, we're going to, this is a training, and now the next time we're going to have a discussion, and this isn't the one for the discussion. We'll have a little bit at the end, but this is a training module. This is one where I'm teaching you about great communication. And we're only doing this once. It'll be recorded. And so I'd love to have you write down, ask questions, and if we don't answer them this time, then send them to us and we will address them next time. So we have this beautiful time to discuss. But I'd love to hear your questions about the very best ways to communicate. All right, sweet ones. So trying to understand before want to be understood means that you care more about that person in the moment than what you're trying to say. And when you are listening, you're listening with your whole heart. You're really trying to understand what are their life experiences, their needs, their desires, where they are. I'm in my office in Utah. You're in your places where you are all over the world. You had a different experience 1 hour before we got on this call than I did. What was that? And that helped you set up for this call. Well, think about life experiences. I've told you before, I'm 70. I'm 70 years old. I've had a lot of life experiences. Some of you are so young, you've had short life experiences. And so it's important when you've had short life experiences to recognize that, yes, I need to drink in, I need to listen, I need to take everything that I can learn so that then I can be more equal in my discussions with a leader in my country. So that's why it's so important that, like, when Robin gives you an assignment, you do it. That when she sends you, and she sends you these about once a week, that you read them and you do it and you send it back. That's what leaders do. We are here for you. We are here to teach you. We are here to train you. We are here to have you be prepared as a leader to be able to learn about how to change the world. You're the guardians of tomorrow. You must understand that at this point, you're acquiring skills that will help you be those leaders. That's why you're on the phone. On Zoom. I applaud you for being here, for learning, for drinking in, so that then you can add this understanding of great communication to what you'll be doing moving forward. Then when Robin sends something out to you, she only wants you to learn more from what she's sending. So if you haven't filled out what she said, responded to what she sent you this last week, do it. You're not going to be the leader you can be if you just come on calls and that's all you do. Or if you just read her email real fast and think, oh, I'll do that later. Stop and answer the questions. Send it back to her. That's engaging. That indicates that you are the leader that we're hoping that you'll become, so that when that time comes, that you are standing in front of, in America, it would be the Senate or the House of Representatives. In India, it would be with the leaders there, and all your different countries, they have different names, titles for the different leaders. In Morocco, that's the king. Well, if you were talking with the advisor to the king, would you not have gone to the effort of learning about him so that you could understand him better? This is what I'm talking about. It's so important that you take this very seriously, because we are. And Robin spends a lot of hours vetting, qualifying young people, and you have made it. You're ambassadors, you're delegates, and you're learning now, and then we'll be working on the SDGs, and then you're going to be going to these leaders. So thank you for coming on the call, but the next step is to engage with what we invite you to do during the weeks. All right? So you can understand someone in 3 ways. Listen carefully. First, you think about that person, like I just said, with their life experiences, their needs, their desires. What does it feel like to be 20 years old? Some of you are 20, some of you are 18, some of you are 25, some of you are 35. I go back in my mind decades to be able to think like you. But I think, my goodness, you know, they're at the beginning of this wonderful journey. What do they need that will help them become leaders quickly? Okay, so then what do you think about? You've got to think about the people, and we're going to be working on the SDG of no poverty, right? What would it feel like to know that you weren't going to be able to eat today? What would that feel like? Some of you have felt that. You know, what does it feel like to be so humiliated because you are deeply in poverty? It's not just the physical, it's also the mental and the emotional, that it's humiliating to have absolutely no money and absolutely nothing to eat. So I say this because I want you to understand that this is part of communication. Great communication is trying to be that person you're talking to. Many of you are university students. What is it like to be the professor, the teacher? Did they prepare? That's honoring you as a student. Think about the teacher, not just about you. Think about that student sitting next to you. Did he have breakfast that morning? I mean, just try to understand how other people feel, and that's a great piece of communication. So first of all, be that person with their needs, their desires, their wants, their hurts, their pain. Because I've told you this before, everyone is fighting a battle. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Don't think it's all about you. It's not me land. This is the world filled with people who are hurting. And your job as ambassadors of the International Youth Parliament, part of what it is to lessen their pain, to bring light into the darkness. That's what you can do. And you cannot do it if you don't know how to communicate, if you don't know how to get outside yourself and go into their land, their world, and say, what's it like to be you? So first, you try to be them. And second, you watch their body language. Are they like this? Are they like this? That tells you all the difference of what that person feels about themselves. Are their shoulders back, their chins up? Are they looking, smiling? Are they confident? That's what you need to be, my dear ones, when you are a leader communicating. Do you see how I smile when I talk? You need to learn how to do that. Look at me talking, not smiling. I'm talking to you now, not smiling. Watch my body language. My shoulders are down. My head goes down. I'm not smiling. That is not cool. It's a little ugly even. You know what I'm saying? You, my friends, I'm trying to help you understand the importance of all the pieces of communication. It's not just what you say. The minute you walk in that room, the way you walk, the way your shoulders are, the smile on your face, the way you're dressed, all of this is communication. It all communicates to the person with whom you're speaking or meeting who you are. So be that child of God who is so grateful for life and that you are in the position of being a leader. Okay? Is that okay? So the third thing is then I talk about listening, and I'm going to talk a lot more about that in just a minute. All right. So I wanted to, okay, that's all I wanted to say on that. There's one more thing. I love teaching people about what I call I messages. Instead of saying, you make me, you know, and you know that nobody makes you anything. You choose to be, that's a choice. You just own it and you say, I'm feeling a little, now fill in the blank, discouraged, upset, angry, frightened, sad, confused. I'm feeling a little confused because you said this and, you know, and I thought this, and now what I'd love to do is talk about how we can work this out. But you see what I'm saying is you start with I. You own that feeling. You never say, you make me upset, because they're not making you upset. You know that famous quote by Eleanor Roosevelt? No one can, what what does she say? No one can make me feel inferior. No one can make me feel inferior without my what? Consent, without my permission. You give people permission by the way that you react to them, right? To hurt you. That's a choice. And my friends, you could try to offend me. You could try to make me angry, but you can't do it. I won't give you the power. So don't give people the power to make you angry or to make you upset. That's a choice. That's your choice. No one can upset you without your permission, my friends. All right, positive words. You know, this is like communication 101. This is like the very beginning of communication. How are you ever going to help someone understand your point of view unless you're speaking in positive ways? Unless you're saying things like, now listen carefully, I invite you to consider the possibility of, I think I mentioned this before. This is a magical phrase. I invite you to consider the possibility of, and then whatever it is that you'd like them to do, instead of saying, I want you to. How does that feel? I want you to go write that report. I'd like to invite you to consider listening carefully to what I'm teaching. You see, that's so much better than listen carefully, you know? And I do say, okay, listen, but you know, it's the way it's said and it's how you say it. The words you say make all the difference. And what's the best way? You first start when you're talking and communicating with someone with compliments, with saying something like, I really like Robin. I love the way that you send out these beautiful newsletters and you take such time and effort to think, and she prays about this. She works on this. She cares about you. She loves you. And that communicates what to you? It communicates love and caring. It's a newsletter. But you see, she doesn't have to do that. But how would we stay connected? How would you stay connected if we didn't have these calls, if we didn't have the newsletters? What is that? Communication. It's all about communicating. It's keeping the lines of communication open, and it's speaking in positive ways. It's saying, I trust you, my dear friends, to come on to the calls, to do our homework. And then at some point, and again, it's such a dream of mine that we're going to be able to someday meet all together. That takes great funds. And you know, I talked to you about this, but we don't have the money to all meet together yet. But we will, God willing, to be able to meet together in a parliament where you're sitting in seats representing your nations. And we're having these discussions in person. Won't that be wonderful? Give me jazz hands. Did you hear that? Jazz hands. Are you excited about everybody meeting together at some point? Yes, in a parliament, in a great big conference. How come you're not doing jazz hands? Give me jazz hands. Everybody, jazz hands. Maya, there we go. Samsung, higher, higher. There we go. Okay. I love you. I love you. I love you. Okay, we're talking about positive words. Now, what happens when someone doesn't speak to you kindly? Remember what I said. What is it? You don't take that in your soul. You wear what I call a resistance raincoat. You know what a raincoat is? Some of my African friends might never have to use a raincoat. Well, you have drenching pouring down. So of the African nations, I've been in Kenya 3 times. I've been in Uganda once, South Africa once, Morocco 3 times, Morocco, Egypt. I've been in Egypt just once. And so I know what it's like to be drenched sometimes and then to be in the great heat. But a resistance raincoat is a mental thing. Pretend you're putting on a coat, I should have brought one in, a raincoat, that then when someone says something unkind to you, we're talking about positive words. When someone says something negative, it doesn't pierce your heart. It doesn't pierce your soul. It just slides right off. It hits it and it slides right off. Someone says something unkind, You just say, if they knew me better, they would never have said that unkind thing. Or, you know what, they must be having a really bad day, or whatever it is you want to say. But you don't take it in. You go, oh, I really am not a very nice person. No, don't believe what they tell you. Don't give them the power again. But positive words, again, come out of your mouth, and they're in your brain. They're in your mind. Positive talk to others and to yourself. I know you all do this. This is a loving reminder, a loving reminder. Okay, so what if, let's see. You know, what if in your family, because it's so important that you not just do this in the information that I'm giving you now, you don't just use at school, or you just don't think about it theoretically. You use it in your family. You use it with the people that you have the hardest trouble getting along with. Who is that person in your life? Do you have somebody you just don't really get along with? Well, I challenge you to turn that around, because leaders, the best leaders, don't have enemies in their hearts. Other people might not like them, but you don't harbor negative feelings about others. You absolutely don't, because that's energy that doesn't allow you to be the great leader that you can be. You just think, wow, that person has this problem. I'm hoping I can help them, but you don't allow their problems to become your problems. And you do that when you start being upset about things that people say to you. Don't take offense. Speak kindly, speak positively. And when you have things like you might say to a friend, here's the wrong way and the right way. You never understand me. You never try to understand me. Now that's one way, that's wrong. You say, you know what? I would love to help you understand me better. And I'd like to understand you. So why don't we take some time, and I'd love to hear your inner thoughts. And that segues to the listening part, the third part. So listening is so critically important. You don't just listen with your ears, you listen with your heart. Again, trying to be that person. But you stop talking and you don't think about what you're going to say next. You're not thinking, oh, as soon as he's done talking, then I'm going to say this and I'm going to say that. No, you listen. You really listen with your whole heart. And that's one of the keys to great communication. There's raise your hand if you've heard of the man Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison. Have you ever heard of a man named Thomas Edison? Yeah, he invented the light bulb. Okay, Thomas Edison. And he failed about 1,000 times before he invented the light bulb. And he said this, listen, I'm not discouraged because every wrong attempt is another step forward. I'm not discouraged because every wrong attempt is another step forward. My friends, I don't want you to be discouraged about the things you haven't done right. You just say, hey, I know what not to do. I know what hasn't worked. I know I need to go to that father or that brother or that friend and fix our relationship. Yeah. So let me tell you a story about communication and Thomas Edison. So he also invented the telegraph. And that's when, back in the day, back in the 1800s, when you could tap out the Morse code, and then it traveled across a wire, and then people far, far away could do it. It was before the telephone. Okay, so he went, this is the story. Let's see, I got to get this exactly right. So the Western Union Company, Thomas Edison approached them. He wanted to sell his new invention, the telegraph, to the Western Union Company. But he didn't know what to sell it for. And he thought and thought and he thought, oh my goodness, I want to ask for $20,000. Now this was back in the 1800s. So it's a lot of money now, but think what it was then. And he wanted to sell this, but he thought that it was such a big amount. So they met and they said, well, what would you like for your invention, Mr. Edison? And he didn't say anything, and he didn't say anything because he was afraid of saying $20,000. And before he could say anything, the Western Union leader said, how about $100,000 for your invention? So sometimes just not saying anything and just inviting the other person to talk is the very best thing you can do. Yeah, so I love that little story. All right, so the last part of communication before I open this up and we're going to do some discussion is called open communication. When you have open communication, then it's open. That means that you could say anything. Like right now, anytime you would ever want to share anything, I'd be open to listen to that. And you should be open. Your heart is open to listening. Frequent. You communicate frequently. We're always going to have these calls. We're always going to be communicating via email with you. Communication is one of the things we do best. Okay, that's frequent. And what about the third part? Open, frequent, and what? Honest. Honest. Tell from your heart. Don't try to be who you aren't. When you're talking with a friend, be that kind person. And if you have a bad day, and we all have bad days. I have bad days. We all do. We have sad days, things that happen that are sad in our families, in our lives. What happens then? You need to be honest. And you just say, you know what? I'm having a hard day today. And I'd really love to communicate with a friend. I know without a shadow of a doubt that I could call Robin and I could call Jackie. I could probably call any one of you. And I could share my heart openly. And you would listen. Honest. You know, I could be honest. I could be just honest and say, this is really hurting my heart. In fact, I do that with both these women. We talk to each other very honestly. I want you to know that open, honest, and frequent communication is a key to your happiness. If you hold things in, if you just hold them in your body, they're going to fester and they're going to get bigger. And that little thing that bothered you just a little bit through the years is going to bother you more and more and more. And do you remember I started with the match? And we had so many people who weren't on the call. I'm going to do it again. And this is what it is. Negativity. You can let that negativity hurt you and burn you and scar you and blister. You can make it a big part in your life. The things that happen wrong, the things that hurt your heart. You can think about them and they get bigger and bigger, or what? Yeah, you can blow it out. You could let it go. You could say, you know what? I don't understand why that person said that to me, but I'll get to know them. We'll work this out. Yeah, let it go. I bet there are things that you're thinking about frequently that happened a long time ago or happened yesterday. You can't change it, my friends. You can't change it. All you can do is to be loving, and you can communicate your heart feelings, and you can communicate in a way that doesn't make the problem bigger, right? All right, that's what I had for communication, and I wanted to, where's my little book that I wanted to share? Oh, here it is. Okay, I always love to do a last like poem or something, and then we're going to open this up to you. I actually have two poems, one for now and one for after we talk. And this is, I love this. It's called, I Know Something Good About You. So wouldn't this old world be better if the folks we meet would say, I know something good about you, and then would treat us that way? Wouldn't it be fine and dandy if wouldn't it be fine and dandy if each hand clasp, warm and true, carried with it this assurance, I know something good about you? Wouldn't life be lots more happy if the good that's in all of us, that's in us all, were the only thing about us that folks really bothered to recall? Wouldn't it be lots more happy if we praised the good we see For there's such a lot of goodness in the worst of you and me. Wouldn't it be nice to practice that fine way of thinking too? You know something good about me, and I know something good about you. And that's anonymous. All right, my sweet friends. Now I'm going to, this is the way that we think we could do this best, because last time we had just way too much noise. I'd like you to just raise your hand and I'll call on you, and then I'd like you to unmute just the person who's talking. I think that'll work really well. Okay, so who has something that they would like to share about communication, or a question you'd like to ask? What? Did I do such a great job that nobody has anything to add? Oh, come on, sweet ones. You got to have a question or two about something. All right?
Fatima.
Okay, where are you? Okay, honey, Wasiwa?
Hello, ma'am. Greetings.
Oh, Fatima.
Can you hear me?
Fatima,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, everybody is still on mute and Fatima is speaking. Go ahead, beautiful girl. And where are you from?
I'm from India and I'm from Kerala. From India and Kerala.
Wonderful. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, ma'am, I need to talk that communication starts from you. You started with that, right? Communication starts from you, and while starting it from you, I prefer that mirror talking is very good. So I need to know, what is your opinion about that mirror talking?
About it starting with you?
Yeah, self-talk in mirror.
Self-talk, and what did you say right after that?
Mirror. The mirror.
In a mirror.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the self-talk.
To a mirror.
Oh, self-talking in a mirror. Okay. Yes, I love it. And so you must have read this somewhere. Someone told you this. Self-talk is in a mirror is a great idea. And what she's talking about, what Fatima is talking about, is you'd walk up to a mirror, you'd stand in front of a mirror and you'd say, I love you. And you say your name. I love you, Fatima. And you look in your eyes and you say, every day I'm getting better and better. And you're talking to yourself, right? Or you would say, I am kind and patient. In fact, every day I'm getting more kind. I'm getting more patient. I'm kinder. I'm more kind today than I was yesterday. I'm smarter today than I was yesterday. And you're talking to yourself. Now, who is listening? Your subconscious. Remember last time I talked about your conscious and your subconscious. The conscious mind, there are two spheres in your mind, the conscious and the subconscious. The conscious is like the captain of a ship. The subconscious is like the ones down in the belly of the ship down. They can't even see the water. They're down there just turning and making the ship go, and they're down with the instruments and everything that makes that ship move and go faster or slower. The conscious mind, whatever it says, the subconscious mind, it doesn't ever question it. So if you say, I'm so stupid, if that's the conscious mind, you're speaking it, I'm so stupid. What is the subconscious mind going to do? It's going to believe it. It's going to believe it. And it's going to say, I'm so stupid. And then it's going to do things that validate that belief. And I gave you the example before. If you say, I'm a wonderful singer, that's your conscious mind telling your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is going to produce the results that validate that belief every time. It's going to produce the results that validate that belief, that make that belief true. I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. I'm wonderful and kind. I'm wonderful and kind. So when you talk to yourself in the mirror, like Fatima just mentioned, you're validating all the positive things, and every cell of your being is listening, especially your subconscious mind that's going to make whatever you say come true. I'll understand this computer. Yep, sure enough. You kids are always quarreling. Yep, those kids are going to be always quarreling. Do you see that you have great power with what you say to yourself and to others? Okay, thank you, Fatima.
Thank you, ma'am.
Did that answer your question? Did that answer your question, darling?
Yes, ma'am, sure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Who else would like to add? So we have, say your name, Waswa Dan?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, darling one.
Yeah, this is Waswa Dan.
Waswa Dan.
Yeah, Waswa Dan from Uganda.
Kampala?
Uganda, Kampala, Uganda.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I think I just want to thank you for the great lecture that you've given us. And I think communication goes with the principles of communication. And I think to be a great communicator, you must observe the 5 principles of communication. And of course, number 1 is the principle of dynamism.
Get very close to your microphone. We can't hear you very well. Get very close.
I'm very close.
Okay, stay close. Don't go back again. Stay close.
Yeah, I think I was saying, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Communication goes with all the principles of communication. And of course, the principles are 5. One is the principle of dynamism. And this tells us that whenever you're communicating, just know that the communication changes with time and the place. For example, when you are speaking at a church, you speak differently from when you're speaking in the market. Yeah. And of course, you have to observe that principle. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Then the second principle is the principle of irreversibility. And of course, communication is irreversible. Whatever you say, first edit what you're going to say out before you speak out. Because whatever you say out, you can't unsay it. And then third, we have the principle of contextuality, the principle of contextuality. Of course, this goes with the context. When you're speaking to someone or when someone is speaking to you, you have to know the context under which that person has brought something. You don't just react anyhow without understanding the context under which someone has brought something. Then you have the principle of interactivity. And this says that communication is interactive. Yeah, of course, it starts within someone's mind and then it goes to another person. And this, it says that it is both intra and interperson. It first begins within your mind, then it goes to another person. Then lastly, you have the principle of proactivity. Of course, communication is proactive. When you're speaking to your audience, the audience must be active and you also must be active. You can't just speak alone and when the audience is not active. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's give him jazz hands. Thank you, jazz hands. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes. Okay, so would you be kind enough to please write that out and send it to Robin, and we will add that to the notes that she's going to give everyone that I've given.
Okay, thank you.
And you're welcome. Is that from a book? Can you show me the book?
The book?
Yes.
The book. It is Dale Carnegie, but I'll give you the details. Dale Carnegie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes, Comfort. Unmute. Comfort. Comfort. Unmute.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Go ahead, Comfort. Comfort, go ahead. Comfort.
Hello, can
Yes,
you
go
hear?
ahead.
Talked about,
Get
you
close
talked
to your
about
mic.
communication.
Get close to your mic.
You talked about,
Oh,
can you hear me now?
no,
Can you hear me?
no, not
Can
very
you hear
well.
me?
Get closer to
Can
your.
you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, mine is a question. You talked about body language. For instance, if I should meet someone and from the body language, I know the person is down and I want to talk to that person to know what is bothering that person. And that person happens to be an introvert, doesn't want to say out what's bothering him, why the person is down. How can I help such person?
Okay, it's called active listening. And Wasma Dan, he mentioned this a little bit, but interactive. So here's how you do it. When there's someone who has trouble communicating because they're an introvert, then you use what is called active listening, and it is repeating back exactly what they said or a version of what they said. For example, if someone comes to you and you can see they're sad, then you say, "You look a little sad today." And then you don't say anything for a minute. And then you say, "I'm noticing that you're looking a little sad." And then almost every time that person is going to say, "Yeah, I'm sad." But they're an introvert, so they don't tell you any more than that. And then you say, "I've just noticed that your face is sad and you're looking down and you just are probably upset about something." And they might say, "Yeah, I'm upset." Now, every person I've ever met will then say one more little thing. They'll say, "Somebody bullied me at school," or "Somebody said something unkind to me," or "Somebody took my books," or whatever happened. And then you don't say, "Oh, well, attitude is everything. Be happy." You don't say that. You repeat back and you get right the way they are. If they're sad, you mimic, you mirror what they are. And then you say, "Somebody took your book." And that's called active listening. You repeat back, "Somebody took your book," and they go, "Yeah, they took my book." "Oh, that looks like that made you upset. That made you sad because they took your book." You're just repeating. This is like magic, my friends. You should try it because then the person tells you a little bit more, just a little bit more. And you keep repeating. And then pretty soon they know they're in a safe place and they'll tell you the story. "I was getting on the bus and this person took my book, fell, and they took it and they ran to the back of the bus and they put it in their book bag. And I'm so sad about this." You see, the story will come out, but their introverts don't tell you the whole story at first. You active listen and get them one tiny piece at a time until they feel safe and they can open up to you. Is that helpful? Okay, thank you, Comfort.
Yeah.
Gerald Nasasira. Thank you, you're welcome. Gerald, unmute. Click unmute. Gerald, unmute. Hit unmute.
Hello.
There you go. Oh, that's not Gerald. Okay, Gerald, honey, unmute. Gerald?
It's me.
Oh,
Gerald,
yes. Yeah.
I unmuted you. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Doctor, for your wonderful, actually very wonderful and inspiring message about communication. And I have actually very much great touched by the story about Edison, Thomas Edison. I like it. I liked it very much. Whenever I read it, I get inspired. Yeah, so mine is a form of a question. which I think that I got from the communities that actually I moved to. And I found this woman who said that whenever she's communicating with the husband in a home, and she happens to be honest with whatever she's doing, because you want to be truthful for whatever you're doing. It doesn't please a man, and eventually a man overreacts badly. So she asked me this question, which haunted my mind. Actually, I haven't given an answer until I get enough information about this. What could be causing this, that people do not actually assent to the honesty or the fact that you tell somebody about yourself? For example, I may say, I am HIV positive. And somebody doesn't take it really well because you said the truth about yourself. So what really causes this? What exactly causes that this person doesn't welcome your honesty? Yet you're saying that in the communication, we must actually be honest, which is actually very true and which is good. So what could be causing this? Thank you.
So, so Gerald does a wonderful work in the villages of Uganda. He teaches principles of truth from village to village to village to village. So yes. When we say yes, we need to have honest communication. If you know that what you tell that person, honesty, is not going to be helpful for either you or them, then you just refrain. You can be honest, just don't tell them everything. If you think that like a woman who is overweight, and she says to her husband, "Do these pants make me look fat?" Well, if he says yes, they make you look fat, then then he's being honest, but it's going to hurt her heart. So you see, it's not always easy to just always be so honest. And he can say something like, "Honey, I love you no matter what you wear." And he doesn't answer the question, but he gives her what she needs. You know, he communicates to her in a way that makes her feel good, right? So when you say honest, you have to be, tell everybody. If you have HIV, if you're HIV positive, you have to go tell it because that's honest. No. When you speak, you need to speak honestly, but you don't have to tell everybody anything. Just hold back those things that are not helpful. Is that okay, Gerald?
Yes, you've already answered it. I will take the message. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead and mute yourself now again, darling. Okay. So do we have another who has a comment? Do we have someone else who has a comment or a question?
Yes. Harris has got his hand raised.
Okay.
Raja, down in the box.
Okay, down in the box. Okay, wonderful. Unmute yourself. Oh, you are unmuted. Go ahead and ask your question, darling.
Hello.
Who is the one who was just speaking?
Haris Ahmad Raja from Pakistan.
Okay, Haris Ahmad.
You can
go ahead, sweetheart.
Haris Ahmad Raja. You can hear me?
Okay, Haris Ahmad Raja. Just a second. Haris Ahmad Raja.
Haris Ahmad Raja from Pakistan.
Okay, thank you. You say it so well. Go ahead, darling.
It's difficult for you to ask my name properly because it's in Urdu. Okay,
Haris Ahmad Raja.
So that's why you think so difficult. And my question is, how to communicate with any person in communication with any person. So how you know his thinking about your communication. He think in positive way or negative way.
You ask.
This is very difficult for us to come to. Yeah, if I ask any person to communicate. Hello.
Put it right by your mouth. Right by your mouth. Go ahead.
How you? Hello.
We can hear you. Go ahead. We can hear you. Just
Hello.
put the microphone right by your mouth. Okay, go ahead. We can hear you. What you're asking is, how do you know if the person is receiving your in a positive way? Is that, yes? Is
गाड़ी
that
नहीं
your,
लेके जाना यार उसके.
we can hear you. Haris Samad Raja. Where are you? We can hear you,
Hello.
Haris. Honey,
Sorry, I can't. Hello, you can hear me?
we can hear you just fine. Are you asking, how do you know?
Hello.
Honey,
My question is that how you communication with a person to think he thinks your communication in a positive way or negative way. How you feel in that person your communication think in positive way or negative way. This is so difficult for me to judge a person who think my conversation in positive way or negative way. This is so
okay.
difficult for.
Okay, that's a wonderful question. And here is my answer. You ask them when you are talking and you wonder, are they really receiving this well? Are they understanding what I'm saying? You ask them. Do you remember in this call, I've said, is that all right if I say that? Do you understand? Is that okay? You ask them. When you are talking to that person, you say, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you agree with what I'm saying? And then when they're talking, you say, I don't quite understand. Can you explain again in a different way? And you have them, you ask them, ask. You say, are you understanding me? Are you agreeing with me? And if he says, no, I don't agree with you, how would you ever know he didn't agree with you if you didn't ask? You have to say, is this all right? Do you agree? Are you in compliance? Are we in harmony? Are you with me on this? You might say that. And then they say, no, I don't understand you. Then you explain in a different way. But you ask. Through a conversation, you ask. And if you don't understand that person, you say, I'm not understanding. Could you explain it a different way? Or, I don't agree with everything you're saying. Could we talk about it a little more? But you don't have to agree. You don't have to agree. We're going to talk about that in conflict resolution. We're going to help you learn how to resolve conflict in positive ways. And that's another training that we're going to have. I could do that one next if you would like, conflict resolution. So did that answer your question, my friend?
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you so much again for your any types of tips in about conversation. And
yes.
inshallah, I will try in my life, and I will tell you after this what can I
your progress.
Progress. Okay. Yeah.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Mashallah.
Mashallah. Inshallah.
Yes. Thank you. All right, darling ones. We have time.
Hello.
I think it's almost time.
Hello. Hello, Ma.
Okay, one more.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello, go ahead, sweetheart.
I have a question.
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
My question is, as a leader, communicating to the audience. Sorry, I'm Akbar Francis from Nigeria. Can you hear me, ma?
Yes, we can hear you, darling, from Nigeria. And you're saying, as a leader, when you're talking to an audience.
Yes, is it good you communicate with them with chastisement? Like try to correct them as a leader? That is in communication.
The answer, yes.
Is it good you communicate with
the
chastisement?
answer is yes and no. So it's when you want to correct a person, you do it never in front of others. You do it privately. So no, you don't do it in front of an audience. You do it privately. But the answer is yes. You do want to communicate and correct a person if they are believing something that's wrong, if they are saying things that are wrong. But it's the way you say it.
Okay.
And it's where you say it. You say it in private and you say it lovingly. You say it kindly. You say it in ways that then that really take into heart who they are and how you need to communicate with them and what the issue is. But you never do it in anger. Never communicate in anger because that doesn't work. Is that helpful, my darling?
Okay.
All right. So I'd like to
very well. Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome. Another way I'm going to end because it's time to be finished. So we do these for 1 hour and our hour is up. And one of the things I care a lot about is smiling. And is that a way to communicate? Yes. So this is by Ella Wheeler Cox. Are you ready? Because it's easy enough to be pleasant when life flows like a song. But the person worthwhile is the person who can smile when everything goes wrong. For the test of the heart is trouble, and it always comes with the years. And a smile that is worth the praises of earth is the smile that shines through the tears. It's to be virtuous when nothing tempts you to stay, when without or within no voice of sin is hurting or luring your soul away. It's only a negative virtue until it's tried by fire, and the life that is worth the honor of earth is the life that resists desire. By the cynic, the sad, the fallen, had no strength for the strife. The world's highway is cumbered today. They make up the item of life, but the virtue that conquers passion and sorrow that hides in a smile, it is these that are worth the homage of earth, for we find them but once in a while. So what we are saying with that poem is it's easy to smile, it's easy to communicate, it's easy to do all the positive things when life is going well, when you have no conflict, when you have nothing pulling you down. The test, my friends, is to when your heart is upset and you have to communicate, to do it kindly, to do it with love, to communicate always, trying to understand the other person before you try to be understood, to listen so carefully with your whole heart, to understand, to speak positively. And then the last one is to openly communicate, honestly and frequently. My darling ones, I love you with all my heart. I am so grateful for this opportunity we have to be together. I look forward to the next time that I'll be able to train. And please, please respond to Robin every time she emails you so that you can be learning these leadership skills. And I'd like to invite you also to be researching your country. What is the problem with poverty? Because we're going to be talking about that in January. We'll talk about conflict resolution in December. In January, let's start with our no poverty. And poverty looks differently in all of your countries. So what are the NGOs, the non-government organizations? Who's already working on this? What is the biggest problem? How many people live in poverty? Find that out, because you must research first. May God be with you. I love you. Let's give each other jazz hands, and everybody unmute and say, I'm unmuting all.
Oh, like everyone here.
Love you too, Mom.
Namaste.
Thanks for your
Namaste.
time. Bye-bye.
Love you. Allah Hafiz.
Hey, bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Oh, hi.
Thank you for teaching.
Thank you,
You're
Paula.
welcome. You're welcome.
Bye,
Good
Jackie.
job.
I love you all.
Love you. Bye
I
Gerald.
love you. I love you. I
Yes,
love you.
yes.
I love you.
So,
Love you, Robin.
no executives
Bye,
or
Mohit. We'll talk later.
it's really awesome.
Bye-bye.
Like, the vibe here is so nice.
Bye.
Yeah, and I think like there's a few events that come through here, like you know, this whole coastline. You come past Morganbeek? There's like this whole coastline. It's so beautiful. You can literally like